Ryan Walker is a closer again, and Joe Adell is on fire. I got 10 names that you must add to help you make the playoffs and win that championship on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're getting that audio source, make sure to hit subscribe because that you're going to want as well. And leave us a 5-star rating and review. It really helps out the show. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, make sure to check out the Insider Track where we have all these exclusive benefits to help you win your championship. You're not going to want to miss out on those benefits. Find out more. Just check out later in the show. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So look, we got great names tonight, I think. Looking at this list, I'm pretty excited. We got a guy that honestly I felt was falling from grace and has returned from injury, has been fantastic. A guy that has come out of nowhere and has a really funny name, and a guy that's finally we call it reclaim the closer role, and that's Ryan Walker of the San Francisco Giants. Now, literally since 4 o'clock this afternoon on Monday, no, Tuesday now is when Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is anymore. On Wednesday, he went up 10%, which then shot him over 60%. But I still feel we need to talk about him. If he's out there and available in your leagues, you need to add him. That's flat out bottom line. Getting a closer of his caliber, if he can bounce back and do what he did last year, I think is a key instrument to success in winning your championship. In all honesty, and now he went from being a closer that was drafted pretty highly, now a waiver wire pickup that has high end potential and is going to have opportunities to get saves, I think is a huge bonus. He's a guy that I like in terms of profiling of a closer, right? Strikeout numbers over a K per inning, save opportunities, low ERA and WHIP. These are things that he does and brings to the table, especially over the last month through 11 innings, 12 Ks, a .79 ERA with a 115 WHIP, 2 saves and 2 wins. Ryan Walker's crushing it right now, and I think he's earned that role back wholeheartedly, and even the team has said it. Walker has retaken the closer role, and since Randy Rodriguez's elbow was injured over this weekend, that is why Walker is straight 7 scoreless outings. And I think as long as he can maintain this production or, not really let things get too far out of hand, it's his job to lose. So Ryan Walker, again, 67% owned, but definitely still out there in those leagues. And I don't care. He should be at this point 100% owned because, to find a closer this late in the game is going to be really hard, especially of his caliber and talent and upside. So add Ryan Walker immediately. Let's move on. As I promised, a guy that has a really funny name but has been really solid of late, it's Cam Shitler of the New York Yankees starting pitcher. Shitler has been, honestly, lights out over the last month. 32 innings pitched, 36 strikeouts, a 2.25 ERA. Whips a little bit on the high side at a 1.22, but I'll take it with 2 quality starts. Everything is lining up. Even over the last 2 weeks, 17 innings, 22 strikeouts, a .51 ERA, a win, of course, and a .79 WHIP. And you know what? His last 2 starts have been absolutely fantastic, coming against Washington and Tampa Bay, not giving up a single earned run and having 8 Ks in each. Like, honestly, lighting up the stat sheet right now. Shitler is 53% owned. If he's out there in the league, you are doing yourself a disservice by not owning him. He is a guy that is going to be the difference maker on your team going late into the stretch. Quite honestly, like, he is a rotation booster. I think that there is rest of year kind of upside for Shitler. A guy doesn't come out of here come out of nowhere like this and not perform for you for the rest of the season. It would take a lot for this kind of production to fall off a cliff, and that's where Cam Shitler comes in. And you also look at this too. You look under the hood, and everything looks great. He has a fastball of 97.8 miles an hour. Average exit velocity is a little bit high, but also on that curve where it's almost at a better point, 89.6. He gets guys to chase 30% of the time, whiffing guys 26% of the time, creating a strikeout 26.3% of the time. Produces ground balls, which is key for pitching in the Yankee Stadium. Even though he allows hard contact 41% of the time, another 2%, and he's at a decent rate. Guys barrel against him about 8%, but if he gets that down to under 8, which is, a game away, and that can change everything for him. His four-seam fastball has a batting average of 200. His cutter has a batting average of 194. His curveball has been getting hit a lot, but honestly, he only throws it about 13% of the time. And the other two pitchers he barely throws. It's 5% and 3.8%. That's a sinker and sweeper. Um, he does manage to put guys away 20% of the time with that sinker. He is just doing everything right. I feel like he's a two-star pitcher. Being that you look at his fastball distribution, throwing that 57.9% of the time, and then really following that up with a cutter at 19% of the time, and that curveball 13. So I mean, yeah, it's like a 2.5 pitcher, but mainly it's that cutter and that fastball that are really getting the job done, and that's a winning success. And the fact that he has other pitches they could throw and mix in that pitch mix makes him dangerous. And I could see why he's getting so many strikeouts and whiffs, because he's just handling business with his pitch mix and really catching guys off balance. And it always helps to have almost a nearly 98 mile an hour fastball. Just saying. But let's move on. I teased him as well, a guy that's come back, and since being back, he's actually been pretty decent. That's Nestor Cortez of the San Diego Padres, starting pitcher. And since returning, he's been really good. Over the last month, 21 innings pitched, a win, 17 Ks, a 3 ERA, and a 119 whip. Has been looking real stout, in all honesty. Now, on Thursday, no, Friday, he's pitching against Minnesota, which Minnesota, we all know, is just not that great right now. And I think it's a really good matchup to roll him out there. He handled the Dodgers really nicely, went 6 deep on them. Only 3 Ks, but it's okay with it. I'm okay with it because he got the win, no earned runs, a .17 whip, and a quality start, of course. So he's handling difficult teams, and handling and doing his job against bad teams as well. Played San Francisco and Arizona, handled them. San Francisco got him back in his previous start on the 18th, but I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because the other three matchups have been so great. I'm definitely rolling him out against Minnesota. It's something I'm doing in practice right now. I love him. He's 19% owned, and quite honestly, with Nestor's improvement so far this season after returning, and the first half obviously not being so hot, I think that we're seeing a way better side of him than we saw earlier in the year. And I'm not earlier in the year. I apologize. That we've seen last year, that I think is going to be a difference maker. Things are going to come around for him, and who knows if we could see even 75% of that old nasty Nestor, what got him that nickname. We're going to be in for a good a good end of the season where he could be a rotation plus. So another guy I'm kind of trying to prioritize and trying to add and get in my rotation, especially for Friday specifically, and see if I can get him out there. But yeah, that's really about it. Coming up next, Jack Leiter is finally hot again, and I think he's in for a big ending, along with another closer that I feel is a must add. All coming up right after this. Hey, Locked On Fantasy Baseball fans. Are you paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app at the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was way too good to be true, but it is totally legit, which it really is. Real people are getting paid and just to make it their daily commutes. And you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now and use a limited time promo code SEASON for 25 cents per gallon bonus. The promo code SEASON Offers varies by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. We have an important request of all our Locked On everydayers. Locked On wants to hear from you. What we put together is a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered in a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can always find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. All right, let's get back into it. Let's keep with the going with the baseball action, and here we go. So I teased it right before the break. Jack Leiter of the Texas Rangers has been hot. Another guy I have added literally everywhere to get in for this matchup this week. Not for nothing, because the Athletics, on Friday, obviously I'm scared of Wilson and Kurtz. Don't get me wrong, but rest of the team kind of ups and downs, and I feel like if he can get past those two, I feel like we can handle business. He went out against Cleveland in his last start on the 23rd and just really showed out. 7 innings, got the win, 10 Ks, no earned runs, .29 whip, and a quality start. Obviously, Kansas City shelled him a little bit. He was only even made it 3 innings, but then handled Arizona, the Spankies, Seattle, Atlanta, the Athletics again. Hey, and again, just a proof is in the pudding. When he played Athletics on the July 21st, he went 6 innings, got the win, 7 Ks, 3 ERA, 1.33 whip, and the quality start. So he's doing a lot better, and I'm liking the progress. I mean, even over the last month, a 2.7 ERA, just looking real stout through 23 innings, and even has gotten his ERA down under 4 to 3.81 on the season. Jack Leiter is making all the moves in the right direction for us to possibly count on him for the rest of the year. Fastball sitting at 97.1 mile an hour. Fastball's getting phenomenal movement, nearly elite 88th percentile. Breaking pitches are at 71st percentile in terms of movement. Off speed pitches not so much. Look, there's a lot to like about him. And I think that as he figures things out and, gets, more wet get his whistle a little bit more wet, things are just going to keep coming more fluently. His fastball has been absolutely elite this season, has a 185 batting average against it. He throws that 36.5% of the time. And again, an average of 97.3 miles an hour. His slider, also pretty deadly, a 234 batting average against that. He throws that 24% of the time. And then even his changeup throws that 15% of the time, has a 203 batting average against that. His sinker and curveball do get hit a little bit more, but still well under 268 on that sinker, and curveball 259. Obviously, you'd like to see a little bit better, but I mean, hey, there's always pitches that are hittable, but he also only throws them 14.9% of the time and 9% of the time. So he does do his justice. His real killer is the changeup. He gets 26.7% put away on that and creates a whiff with that a lot. Literally throwing that, getting 32.2% of the time he throws that, he gets a whiff. And the same thing with that slider, 27.3% of the time, absolutely filthy. And that curveball, even with that batting average, creates a whiff 32.3% of the time. He has some really good stuff. He was a good pitching prospect. Like, I truly was a fan of him coming into the season because I just knew that Leiter would eventually figure it out. And, Dom's favorite saying, right? Development isn't always linear. Guys are going to have their ups and downs. And that's pretty much what we've seen from Leiter. Leiter's had a lot of bright spots and a lot of bad spots as well. And, I think things are starting to come together for him. So we could be in for an actual really nice end of the season where we're talking about him as a top 50 pitcher. I wouldn't even be surprised, in all honesty. He's 34% owned, and you don't want to miss out on that value. I'm adding Jack Leiter literally everywhere. But let's move on. Jose A. Ferrera, the closer for, I apologize, I believe for the Washington, yes, for the Washington Nationals. I don't know why I was having a brain fart here. 23% owned and has 2 saves over the last week, 3 Ks, no earned runs, a .86 whip. Looking real stout. 3 saves over the last 2 weeks with 6 strikeouts. Looking really good. Has a K per inning. Just absolutely crushing it. Even the statistics on the whole season. it isn't the hottest, but over the last month, a 1.59 ERA through 11 innings with 12 strikeouts. They're really, really good. Whip could be lower, obviously, but hey, he has the job right now. Obviously, it's not a long leash, but he's going in there in trusted situations and taking advantage of the opportunity. And how many guys can you get off the waiver wire with with a guaranteed opportunity it saves until they prove otherwise? Not many. There's not many guys out there. I mean, it's playoff time. Everybody's kind of capitalizing between Ryan Walker and Ferrera. These are the two guys you need to add if you're down on saves. It's just one of those things. I'm really about adding him. I literally added him the second he got the job. So Ferrera is a must add. Again, 23% owned on those Washington Nationals. But let's move on. Let's switch over to some bats. So, in terms of bats, like I mentioned, I have a guy named Joe Adell who's absolutely fantastic as of late. And I have this guy that honestly I wrote off, and that's Luis Matos. Matos, I honestly I thought that we were never going to speak about him again, but apparently he said, "No, Matt, we're going to talk about me." He is on the San Francisco Giants playing outfield. He's 5% owned, and he's having a great week through 18 at bats. He has 6 runs, 2 bombs, 3 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting 500. Look, he has no real value, in my opinion. Matos has no long term value. He's just a ride the wave kind of guy, right? Like, I really don't really care about his long term aspirations. I don't think it's really there. Um, you know, I just never really been a fan. In the 3 years that he's been up in the bigs, he hasn't been, a guy that's been playing every day or even, being able to stay out on the field. Then you look at like, his minor league production and things like that. He's shown promise ish where he had 14 home runs and, 379 at bats, but nothing that really is sticky that says, oh, this kid's going to have power. Or this kid's going to really break out. And I know that I'm getting so much flack from the we call it the Giants fans out there. But I mean, honestly, like, when we're talking fantasy baseball, I just don't think that Matos has any kind of long term value for us. So he's ride the wave kind of type guy. Let that come through, and then we'll just call it a day on that. But let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about Joe Adell. Joe Adell, obviously playing for those Los Angeles Angels. He's 44% owned, and another guy that is crushing it of late. 20 at bats, 2 runs, 2 bombs, 3 ribs, batting 250 with a stolen base over the last 2 weeks. 7 runs, 5 bombs, 9 ribs, stolen base, batting 289, and 9 home runs over the month. So look, obviously, I'm not really counting on him for long-term aspirations. He does have 30 home runs on the season with 81 ribs, but he's batting 234. Now, the power is, I think, clear and evident at this point, right? Like, hey, he's definitely showing off that. Joe Dell was a high end prospect, a guy that was known to have some kind of, speed and definitely power in those regards, but never really came to fruition. And that is really upsetting. But I will tell you this, the power is legit. You look under the hood, the XWOB is at a 381. The expected batting average actually is at 277, which should be a lot better. It's just a lot better than what he's posting on the season at 234. The expected slug is a 580, 561. Average exit velocity is 91 and a half miles an hour. He's barreling 17% of the time, hitting hard contact nearly 50% at 49.2% of the time, and just honestly killing it. His biggest issue is himself. He keeps striking at absolutely anything. I mean, swinging at absolutely anything. He's chasing literally 32% of the time. He's whiffing like crazy and striking out. And these are big problems and why his batting average is in the tank. You know, I don't know what's up with Joe Adell, but I mean, man, just like maybe be a little bit more patient. Let's take a walk and see what's going on. But, even look at like the different pitch distributions, right? He hits a 242 against fastball, which he should be crushing. Breaking balls, he's hitting 228 against, and even even off speed pitches, he's hitting 211. I just I'm surprised too. I mean, a guy I could understand why he's hitting so many home runs. Out of all his at bats, he's seen fastballs 52.9% of the time. Breaking balls and off speed pitches. Honestly, I feel like if they threw to him even more, they would completely shut down his bat. That hasn't been the case. So Joe Adell, as long as they keep feeding him fastballs, I think he'll crush it. And hopefully the batting average kind of clicks. Obviously, I'll take 250 or 289 over the last 2 weeks, but Joe Adell is a must add. Again, 44% owned. a guy that you don't want to miss out on the streaming opportunity. And that could be the difference of making the playoffs or not. It's picking up a guy like Joe Adell. Coming up next, I got three more guys that I think we need to be talking about. You know, one a Tampa Bay Ray that honestly has just been, somebody that I wish would just finally hit. A guy that was called up, and another guy I'm not too familiar with, but I think it's going to be a guy that we're going to want to add. All coming up next. There is nothing like catching a baseball game live, the energy of the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use GameTime. The GameTime app gives you an advantage back to the fans. GameTime is fast, easy, and backed by GameTime's guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so your price you see is the price you pay. The app is made it super simple. I can even see the exact view from my seats, making sure I'm not sitting behind that pole. And you know, you can see your total trip up front with no surprise fees at checkout. I love the zone deal too. You pick a section and Game Time picks the seat, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets in the past. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, use the promo code LOCKEDMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go to download the Game Time app today. And I'll give it a little personal endorsement on as well. I've been using Game Time long before I even worked for Locked On. It is my favorite ticketing app, hands down. Best place to go for tickets. And look, you want a little bit more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast. I promise you, the way to win your championship league is on the Insider Track. We not only offer stuff that we can't just fit to this 30-minute segment, but we also give you the tools for success. Flat out. You want to be ahead on your leagues on September call-ups that can be the difference maker for your team? We got you. You want to ask us questions and get a response in 24 hours? We got you. You want anything to do with fantasy baseball? We got you. You got a direct line to us. And it's just a text message away. Links in the description below. And we're giving you a free 2 weeks. So check it out. Links in the description below. Let's get back. Oh, God. Let's get back into the show and start talking some baseball. Sorry for that loud bang in your ears. Sometimes I just get a little excited, talk with my hands, and I end up hitting things. I'm Italian. What do you want? But let's get into it. All right. Jared Tarullo, I think. I just want to call him Jason Tarullo. Plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates, third, second, and short eligibility. And so far on the season, he's looking all right. He's got 5 home runs, 9 stolen bases through 216 at bats. Again, I'm pulling up him. I'm not really too familiar, and I can't remember why I like them so much. But let's put it this way: 20% owned. He's crushing it over the last week. 4 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, a stolen base, batting 500. Over the last 2 weeks, 6 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, 4 stolen bases, batting 415. Look, he's not a guy that's going to show you off power. He's not a guy that's going to steal you a boatload of bases, but he's stealing bases right now. He's hitting for average, and it seems like he just has found a way to make contact with the ball. And that's key, right? That's step 1. Make contact with ball. Baseball, go. But quite honestly, like I will literally roll out anybody that is just hot. And that is how you manufacture a win each and every week. It is what it is. If you're against that, then you're not winning any leagues, and I promise you that, unless you're in a league where nobody is active. So, I'm adding him 20% owned. Nothing left really to say on him. I'm going to move on. Let's talk about Kyle Teals, catcher for the Chicago White Sox. Now, look, he's not blowing me away with anything special. He has 4 runs and 4 ribs on the week, batting 471. Obviously, the batting average is really why we're talking about him. He's on a really bad team. Luis Robert just hit the IL. But we need to talk about him because he's hitting for average and he's getting production. And catcher is, hit or miss. And you know what? Tis the season to stream like crazy. So this is one of those things. You need to leg up on your opponent, even in a hot spot. Like, okay, your catcher has a day off, and Kyle Teel and slide him in there. Slide him in there like you're sliding in DMs. Because quite honestly, if he's going to hit for average like that and possibly have a shot at a run or ribby, I'm going to take that. But I'll just take the batting average alone. It's not dead production from an empty spot where I'm not getting anything, and I need to be able to keep up with a team that possibly has more guys going against me. So him being out there 14% owned is really something I'm going to do. Obviously, I'm not going to do this like an 8 to 10 man league, but like in those deeper leagues, like 14, 15 man, 16 man, whatever, this is a play, especially in those two catcher leagues. Right now, the way he's playing, he's definitely a stream. And then, you let go of him the second he starts underperforming, and you just drop him like it's hot. Like it is what it is. Let's move on. Let's talk about Josh Low, however we say this. But Josh Low, let's get his stuff up here real quick. We're talking about the outfielder, and again, I still don't know how to say his name. Has been better of late. So through 23 at bats, 4 runs, 4 stolen bases, batting 304. Now he's on here for an upside play. He isn't on here because he's knock your socks off kind of performance right now. If anything, I think we're watching the water seep back into the ocean before the tsunami hits, where he might just take off. And these are the ones where I like get in early and then you reap all the benefits, right? Sometimes it's not oh my God, look, this guy is crushing it right now. Let me add him. Just look, he's making consistent contact, getting on base, and doing what you need to do for you. Boom. Then, out of nowhere, boom, they're just hitting stuff left and right. And Josh Lowe always had the potential. He's a guy that I feel like has been a fantasy darling for everybody and their mother. Because when he first came up in the league, he was absolutely crushing it. Like I believe, the 2023 season where he actually managed to play 466 at bats and play through 135 games. That season where he literally had 71 runs, 33 doubles, 2 triples, 20 bombs, 83 ribs, 32 stolen bases, and had 292. We're all still chasing that. And, now he's age 27 and we've only seen this once in his career. Tells me that we may or may not ever see that again. And I'm leaning more on the not, but I'm willing to take a shot on a guy that has done something and was successful in the bigs at one point. And if I can catch this at the beginning of the tidal wave, I'm totally going to want to get a piece of that. Getting a guy hot and rolling into the next matchup next week, first week of the playoffs, and then he just takes off and explodes. And he didn't miss any of that production. That is the key part there. Capitalizing early, going up in matchups early, and setting yourself up for success. Josh Lowe could be that guy for you. So I'm adding him immediately and just not even looking back. Now I have a bonus guy. I think I've mentioned him on every episode this week because I just can't get over the ownership. It's Jack Caglioni of the Kansas City Royals. Look, it's an honorable mention because I've talked about him so much. 21% owned, absolutely crushing in AAA. Should be back any day now. First in outfield eligibility. One of the top prospects of this year, was drafted higher in dynasty drafts and rookie startups than Nick Kurtz for a reason. Caglioni has all the power in the sun. I think he's showing the same trajectory that Kurtz did. Went down on the IL after really not performing hot. Got rehab games, kicked it into full gear, came back swinging. This could be the difference of a guy that wins you a championship. And Jack Caglioni now. I promise you're not going to want to miss out. But guys, thank you for everything today and hanging out with me. Dom is going to be here solo tomorrow. I got my fantasy football draft, so I won't be here, but he's going to be giving me a great show tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to listening to it. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out our all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcast.